welcome to Second Chances with Christy Belz podcast. I'm your host, Christy Belz. Enjoy our array of talented, open-hearted guests and their thoughtfully curated stories of second chances, life-changing choices, and new perspectives. We are here to empower you on second chances in your life. Today's guest, Mindy Watrous, serves as the president and CEO of the Tennyson Center for Children, a Denver-based nonprofit dedicated to helping children and families impacted by trauma build brighter futures. The organization has been serving Colorado children for more than a century and provides trauma-informed mental health services, foster care, and adoption support, family strengthening programs, and residential treatment. Mindy brings 2 decades of leadership experience in the nonprofit management, child welfare, and community partnership. Her work centers on expanding access to high-quality mental health care and creating systems that help vulnerable children heal, grow, and thrive. Under her leadership, Tennyson Center continues to evolve towards innovative, family-centered, preventative-focused care, ensuring that children experiencing adversity have the resources, stability, and support they need to reach their full potential. Mindy is known for her collaborative leadership style and deep commitment to Colorado children's and families. She regularly works with community partners, policymakers, educators, and mental health professionals to strengthen the systems that serve youth facing complex challenges. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy that you're here with us today. Second Chances with Christy Belz. I'm delighted to have Mindy Watrous with us today. She is the CEO of the Tennyson Center for Children, which is an incredible organization. And I'm very excited to talk with her about her work and our kids and what she's doing in the world. But before we do anything in my world, we pause. So we're just going to take a moment here, take a deep breath. We call it permission to pause. Just bringing ourselves into this moment. Just taking breath, closing your eyes if you're comfortable. Yeah, it's just a moment, right? Just a moment to pause, to remember, to be present, to be here now. When you're ready, come on back. Mindy, I am delighted that you said yes to this opportunity to have a discussion with me on this podcast. I have known you for a while, and I always start the show with, how do I know my guest? And so you and I have some funny history, but we met through a dear friend of mine, actually somebody that I went to junior high school with, Stephanie Hearn, who works with Mindy at the Tennyson Center in development. And she has enrolled me, and I've become a huge champion of the work being done at the Tennyson Center. So through that connection, I've met Mindy and had the privilege of getting to know her. And we've had a few adventures. We've had one major big adventure that I just have to start with because it's so stinking funny. And every time I think about it, I just crack up. So I had a home down in Florida for a period of time. We've since sold it, but Mindy lives not far from where our home was. And so she was gracious enough to invite us up to spend the day on her boat. And we went out on her boat, and I think I had 3 friends with me. Yeah, Stephanie was one of them, and a couple other girlfriends. And somehow, some way, we got the boat high centered on a sand barge.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And the we is really me got it centered on the sandbar.
But you should have seen us trying to get the damn boat off of the sandbar. I still to this day am laughing, like us tying ropes and all the women out there pulling the boat, trying to get the boat to come off the sandbar.
Like the first and last time I've gotten stuck on a sandbar, and I had to do it with a bunch of people in the boat.
Oh, I love it. It was such a classic, beautiful, fun day. And what a great memory. What great memories we made on that day.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did some laughing and had some great times. So, yeah, super fun. Right outside Siesta Key, which is a beautiful, beautiful beach down around Sarasota. And yeah, we finally had some other boat come and rescue us and hold us off the barge. So. Nothing like being high centered on a barge.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just am just just in awe of the work that you're doing, Mindy. So I always start the show after that introduction about you. I want to know, I mean, this podcast is about women and second chances, and we all have them, and we've all had many of them. And I just want to know your story. Tell me your story. Like, where'd you come from? What got you to this place? And then we'll talk about some pivotal moments in your world, some second chance moments, and yeah, wrap up and have some fun. Yeah. So tell us about you.
Okay. Well, I have been in nonprofits for a long time now, although that's not where I started. And it came about as a result of being a foster parent at the ripe old age of 23.
Now, how did that happen?
I wish I knew. I've always just loved working with kids, and I ended up in just inadvertently at a specific agency because I thought I want to learn more about this. Well, it turns out it was a therapeutic foster care agency, which I did not understand at the time, and worked with kids with extreme trauma, mental health, behavioral health issues, those kinds of things, and became a foster parent and started out with 2 little 5-year-old boys.
At 23.
At 23, like a crazy woman. Looking back, I think, what? Where was I?
Yeah.
But I still have one of those young men in my life. He's not so young anymore. He's my oldest. And he's, so a lot of good came out of it. But, yeah. And so then I went, I actually had the opportunity to go to work training and recruiting foster parents for that very same agency later. And my interest just grew from there. I then became the CEO, and I was there after a period of time and stayed there for 16 years.
Wow. What state was that?
That was in San Diego, California.
In San Diego.
And the organization covered Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. Isn't it funny that like the one choice that you make that kind of pulls the thread of all of this thing, and then it turns into like, wow, how did I get here? It's been all that time, and now, yeah.
Exactly. I had actually interviewed with another foster family agency about the same job, and when they called the first one where I was affiliated for a reference, they said, "Wait a minute, come talk to us." So it's just this crazy opportunity that I didn't expect, and it turned into a wonderful 16 years. Yeah. So it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you left that agency, where did you go?
I had the opportunity to come to Denver to be the CEO of Special Olympics Colorado.
Oh, awesome. What a great organization.
Wonderful organization. Yeah. And I have a brother with intellectual disabilities. And so it was a great opportunity with an organization who has joy in their mission statement, which is very hard to find in the nonprofit world.
Exactly. Yeah. So what was your role at that Special Olympics?
I ran the Colorado Special Olympics program. So throughout the state as CEO, and, worked with both children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Yeah.
And then what, Mindy? Then what happened?
Well, then I got recruited to come to Tennyson. I decided to go back and work with kids who had experienced trauma. So I went to a small agency and worked with them for a while. I was still foster parenting, so I had a brand new baby. So I was working at this little small organization, just being a mom and doing that. And got recruited by the same executive recruiter that I'd worked with when I left Special Olympics to help them fill the CEO role at Special Olympics. And she said, "You got to go see these people at Tennyson." And I said, "I don't want to." And
Nope. Thank you, though.
No, thanks for
thinking of me.
Yeah, that doesn't really work for me. I was enjoying this little organization and my new baby that I had just gotten. And she kept calling me and emailing me. And finally I said, "If I go and talk to these people, will you leave me alone?" And she said, "Yes." And I came here and I fell in love, and I've been here about 4.5 years now. And it was a great decision to come to a great organization.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Tennyson. Tell me about the Tennyson Center for Children.
Sure. Tennyson, really, our mission is around helping children and families who've experienced trauma, helping them heal and thrive and move forward with their lives. And so we do that in several different ways. We have a program called community-based services, and actually our clinicians go into the homes and work with the families on a very intensive basis, maybe 6 hours a week, to keep that child from going to what we call a higher level of care or some kind of residential programs, things like that. We really want to try to stabilize the family, keep the child with the family, because that's ultimately what's best if you can do it, and help the family develop the skills and deal with the the trauma that's gone on in the family. So that's a program for us. We also run an outpatient clinic, your kind of therapy, and we also have what's called a facility school and day treatment program on our campus, and that's where we serve kids who have also experienced trauma but have experience of mental health challenges, behavioral health challenges, and basically school districts send kids to Tennyson when their behavior exceeds the district's capacity to really help them learn. So kids come to us. We meet them where they're at, individualized, and help them. Most are 3 to 4 years behind academically because they have other challenges they're thinking about, right? And then they receive therapeutic services at the same time, family therapy, individual therapy, groups, crisis management, those sorts of things. And our goal is really to get that child back to their school district. We're not trying to keep kids to graduate, but we're trying to get them to a place where they can be in their community, they could be at their home school, and they can be successful. So we do that through our school. We also have a residential program, and that's for kids that really need 24-hour-a-day care.
Right.
And their behaviors and the acuity of their challenges are so high that they come here for a period of time where we work to stabilize, heal, work with the family or the caretakers to really affect change in that child's life.
I think you know this. I'm a social worker by degree. I have my undergrad and graduate degrees in social work, so I'm familiar with the systems, family systems and structures and institutions and, the things that we need in our society to support individuals and organizations. I would love to talk more candidly about trauma and what does that look like? Again, my personal story is that I had nieces and nephews that were put in a foster care system and actually had to take one of them and drop her at a foster care home. And it was incredibly challenging. So I also know the system firsthand and supported her through that process. But I think it's really important for my audience because we talk the real, the raw, the relevant on this show. Like, what kind of trauma are you seeing? What are kids facing today? And really from the small T's, and I know no trauma is small, but, we have small T's and then we have extremely large, obviously those kids that are needing your residential program are needing a greater level of care. But just talk to me candidly about trauma and what you're seeing in your population.
Trauma is prevalent, through everyone. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, your education, your what have you. Children and families can experience trauma at any point. There's, everything from physical, sexual, emotional abuse, severe neglect, the kind of traumas that I think people are more apt to at least have some knowledge about. There's a lot in terms of trafficking of young people. There's a lot also in terms of the social media and the kind of information and experiences that kids are having, whether it's bullying, whether it's targeting, whatever those cases may be, leading to lots in terms of kids who feel hopeless, who feel suicidal, who don't think that they have much of a future. So we've seen in Colorado a high percentage of teen suicide and suicide attempts. We have trauma in terms of our kids with intellectual and developmental disabilities that we work with. They're 4 times more likely to be abused or severely bullied, and a lot of trauma from that as well. And depending on the child, quite frankly, trauma can take so many different forms as it affects each of us differently. But the ramifications tend to look a lot alike. We can have kids who really act out those behaviors as a result of not being able to communicate or understand their triggers and feelings at that point, and then kids that completely withdraw and just don't participate in anything. And we see a lot of that on both sides. But our kids here have really big feelings, really big triggers that you might not even know. For example, for kids that have been sexually abused, we need to show them what's behind closed doors because that aren't labeled, because it scares them when they don't know what's back there. So it's very basic things all the way through significant therapeutic intervention.
Yeah. So let's just clarify, behind closed doors, you literally mean, right? Talk literally so people understand what that means. If a child has had sexual abuse and they see a closed door, I'll let you describe it just so that it's concrete for the audience.
Well, sexual abuse tends to be hidden, and it tends to happen. Children are often threatened. They often don't know what to expect. People come into their rooms, at night. They're taken different places by a perpetrator. And so, for our kids, for example, rooms need to be labeled or opened up so kids can actually go in there and see what's in there and understand that they're safe, because they don't tend to believe that they're going to be safe, and there's something kind of hiding behind every closed door. So it's really important that they see and they feel safe, and that more than anything, we start by developing a relationship with them so they feel some trust, and part of that is the physical environment.
Yeah. I remember talking with Stephanie, I think it was part of when the fundraising was going on for the residential aspect of your work, that you actually had a real estate developer who worked with you in trauma-informed development. You want to talk a little bit about that? I think that was so cool. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I think to be trauma-informed is incredibly important when working with this population of young people, and understanding all the ways that trauma impacts kids in what we do and what we do. We're here to help. We're here to make things better, and inadvertently we can do more damage when we don't understand the ramifications of trauma. So when we work to renovate our residential facility, one of the things that we did was work with an organization, Shopworks, which is actually an architectural firm that has social workers as part of them, and they work to build and design spaces where kids feel safe, which hastens their healing, and staff feel safe, because working with kids who are aggressive and go through all kinds of behaviors can be really challenging, obviously, on our staff. So we worked with Shopworks. They're an amazing organization on everything from colors to textures to furniture to everything, to create an environment that kind of screams safe. You're safe here. It doesn't trigger kids in the same ways. It's a very interesting science that they've worked really hard to develop, but they've worked with a number of organizations in Denver, and it's pretty amazing work.
Yeah, I thought it was spectacular. And, safety is such a critical factor for all of us, anybody, right? We need to know our nervous system is designed needing to feel some level of safety, and that can be done in all sorts of ways. But literally to create a
Exactly.
physical environment where those kids can walk in and just kind of, take a deep breath, whether that's colors or, as you said, textures or, space. It's just so important. And kudos to you. I was so excited to know that. Plus, we needed the children's beds here in Colorado because it's an epidemic. And I'd love for you to just share your wisdom. Mental health for children is really an epidemic in Colorado. Yeah. So would you just, give us your wisdom on that so our audience is informed?
Well, it's children's mental health, youth mental health is it is a crisis. There are not enough services available. They're hard to come by. They're hard to keep. They're hard to pay for. They are just not available easily to typical families, to kids that are involved in the system, that sort of thing. With legislation, Family First legislation, we've lost over 1,000 residential beds here in Colorado over the past few years because the whole basis of the legislation was that kids belong in homes and in their community. And there isn't one provider among us that doesn't believe that's true. Right. But the reality is, when you look at the acuity of what kids are dealing with, when you look at the behaviors that are happening, and you can't keep families safe, you have to have, residential treatment. Some kids just need that intensive level of mental health treatment, behavioral support, that kind of thing, just to get to a place where we can step them down to a level of care, where we can help their families and caregivers have them home. But that takes a lot of mental health work.
Right.
Fortunately, it's not funded well. It's not. In my estimation, it's overly regulated, and I think a lot of people don't understand the nature of what mental health providers are dealing with and are challenged with. And so more and more people leave the field because it's incredibly challenging to do this work on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I understand. I really do. I could not, I have a lot of bandwidth, but I could not find it in me to work with children just because it was just a place that I just could not touch with my empathy and my.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes a lot of grit to work with kids and to stay present when they are acting out and, just being who they are, because that's what their experience is, right? But it is challenging.
It is so challenging. There's so much vicarious trauma. There's so many people that come into this type of work with their own trauma because they want to help other kids. They want to, people that have been through similar things, and it can be very triggering. It can be very difficult. On a day-to-day basis, kids' behavior isn't personal, but it can become very challenging not to feel that way.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that we kind of get an idea of, based on where our generation is and how we were raised, that there are certain ways that kids should perform or should behave, right? And when they don't live up to that norm or that expectation, which is always a challenging in any type of situation, but, it takes great practice and great discernment to be able to pull that apart, I think, for people who work with kids and particularly at this level that you do that. It's just amazing to me. It's beautiful. So what do you see as the major opportunity for kids and mental health and supporting children right now? What do you see as some opportunities that we can look towards?
I think opportunities are really looking at some of the treatments and programs and systems that are really working, that are evidence-based, that have a proven track record, instead of people in mental health and in treatment always having to design their own treatment programs and things of this nature. It kind of gives us a leg up to say, oh, I see that this is working, can I come see what you're doing, can I learn from you, things of that nature. So I think it's really, we're in a time and a space where mental health treatment can be improved, can be more effective. And like I said, where kids can heal more quickly than they have in the past. So I think that's a real opportunity.
Evidence-based therapies, different works. What do you see? I mean, I've collected modalities throughout my career and have a toolbox full, but what do you feel like are some of the more effective tools and techniques that your staff are using with kids today?
I think one of the things that we really focused on over the last 4.5 years is reducing the physical management of children. I think in this industry for a long time, organizations have kind of used restraint of kids to calm them down. And we really decided that we wanted to be hands off all the time. And so we've invested a lot in things like de-escalation techniques. How do we notice that something is happening with children before it happens? How do we start to see those signs? What do we do to help the child learn from what's going on so that they don't continue to repeat that pattern? And, we just implemented something called Yukaru, for example, which uses kind of almost like things like gymnastics pads, but not that big, so that aggressive kids and assaultive kids don't hurt the staff, but have the opportunity to kind of work out some of their frustration and work on de-escalating them while no one gets hurt, because obviously, staff injuries and child injuries, we don't want either of those. So it gives us, it's a great opportunity to, kids can pick them up, they can hit them, they can kick them, they can do whatever they need to do to, deal with these feelings that they don't understand. I think that reduction of physical management keeps kids from feeling re-abused. So we really focus a lot on that and how we build relationships and how we work to de-escalate and recognize triggers in kids.
Are there therapeutic models that your team uses, like cognitive behavioral therapy or internal family systems? Kids are different. My practice is primarily adults, but I'm just curious if there's like therapeutic models that seem to be working well for children in your community.
Yes, and I think it really depends on the child and what's needed, but DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, is effective. Cognitive behavioral therapy is effective. We use, and now look at me, going right out of PCIT, which is for really younger children.
What's this?
Parent-child interactive therapy. Yeah. And I think that's really effective. It's something that our therapists in our intensive in-home program some of them have been trained in, family systems therapy, different things like that, which really seem to help the kids. I like EMDR in terms of, working with youth and families around traumatic memories and history.
Yeah. EMDR has been very successful in trauma reduction across the spectrum, different ages. Yeah. Awesome.
We also use a lot of sensory things with our kids, just to reduce all the sensory input that's coming in and give them opportunities to kind of work through that in a more productive way. My littlest kids that I've adopted have sensory and executive functioning challenges because of the substance abuse in utero, and it's amazing how much that helps.
Yes. All right, now I just have to ask, how many children have you adopted in your life?
Not very many.
What?
Well, I have fostered many, many children over the years. I consider 5 of them mine. Yeah, and they range from 6 years old to 40 years old. So,
You
And
just brought a 6-year-old into your family not too long ago,
well,
correct?
I know I had my last two we got as infants, straight from Children's Hospital after they were born positive for substance use
Mm-hmm.
during pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're 6 and 10 now, and we had intended just to do respite care. Seems to be the story of my life. And talk about second
God
chance.
bless you.
And then someone in the universe decided that we needed to adopt them. And got to tell you, they're the best things that ever happened to us.
Yeah, you have a great partner that supports this journey too, and
Absolutely.
yeah, it's beautiful, and kudos to you. I think you know this. Actually, I know you know this because we saw each other at Becoming Me, which was a documentary film that won the Emmy this year that I supported, and about emancipated kids that have left the foster care system and their stories, and they were success stories in the documentary. Really amazing, and not everybody gets that success story coming out of the foster care system. It takes great resolve and
yes. My oldest, who came to live with me when he was 5, has struggled his whole life with mental health and issues and things of that nature. And the timelines of when kids need to be launched and successful and all of these things just isn't appropriate for kids leaving the foster care system.
No.
Just, I have a biological daughter, for example. She was no more ready to do adulting than and then when you put all the trauma and the history and the mental health and all of that on top of it, there's so much that our foster kids need to be supported into adulthood.
Yeah. There's a big event coming up in April that I'm a part of. Crossroads is doing some supportive services for foster care kids and helping kids normalize their lives by providing activities and things for them to do in the community. It's really, really a cool program. I'll put some show notes in there for guests if they're interested in supporting it longer term. So we talk about leadership in my work. We're all leaders in our own way. But when you talk about leadership and stewarding an organization like the Tennyson Center, what do you think are the key important qualities that you as a leader bring to support your staff and these children on their journeys?
I think a few things. I think authenticity is really important for our team here. Transparency, the willingness to admit that I don't know or that I made a mistake. I learned a lesson about mistakes while I was at Special Olympics and how people respond to them and how that encourages people or defeats people. And so I'm big on, if you're not making mistakes, you're not taking risks. And if you're not taking risks, you're not getting better. So really trying to build an environment that's supportive of intention and the opportunity for people to really share their experience and understanding of what's happening and what we should be doing differently or better. Hearing people's voices, I think, is really important in terms of leadership. To talk to those people that are, on the senior leadership team or what have you, when really it's the people on the front lines every day that know what's happening and what we should be doing better.
I love that. Yeah, authenticity it's like a pinnacle in the leadership work. That authenticity is really the ability to, be yourself, show up wholeheartedly as the whole human being, but also to raise and talk about things that are challenging, right? That courageous authenticity is about using your voice and being able to talk to your leadership team and or you about what's happening and how do you get really real about it, right? It's really a pinnacle leadership skill, and I've witnessed that in you, and I've heard much about your leadership, which is extraordinary. Let's talk about second chances. So you've talked about a few of them. You've had a few different career shifts in your life.
I have
had a few opportunities. When you think about second chances, my definition, I'd go back to Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there's a space, right? And there's a space that you actually are at choice if you can allow yourself to be present in that moment. That's why I love permission to pause, right? Teaching people that you can pause in a moment, even if you're reactive,
Right.
right? There's a choice point in there. Not always easy, right? But so my belief is second chances are always the ability to choose again or take that pause and to be reflective in that moment. But and then there's those huge ones, the big mistakes that I've done, or I've been on the floor and I could get back up again. It took a little while.
Totally understand that.
Those two. Those two. So talk about like the second chances, how you reflect on second chances, stories of hope, those types of things.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly with you in terms of second chances, and that everybody should have the opportunity. I learned my biggest lesson in leadership, like I said, with one of my mistakes, and really in terms of how people responded to me around that. And I try to model that. I try to keep that going forward. And I think second chances are really about looking at things in a way that makes sense. We do a lot of work with our staff here around, it's like what you said, when you're triggered, when there's a stimulus, and what your own response is like tap out and take that moment, because you're not going to be your best self when you have a dysregulated child and you're dysregulated. And there's no shame in that. That's the real answer, is to take that moment. It's like your pause, right? You got to take that and you got to make the most of it. Second chances, in terms of people mostly have good intentions. Sometimes bad things just happen, and you have to take that moment to really look at it. We work to debrief incidents so you can learn from what happened, to understand, what you might have missed, or what you did really well that we can use with other people. So, we really believe in second chances here. We believe in restorative justice with our kids. We believe that unless you show differently, that your intentions are good and pure, and with our kids too. But people make mistakes all the time, and we just have to learn and grow from them. We are built on second chances here. Yeah. And third and fourth often.
Yeah. I say, oh God, second chances. Here I am again for the 25,000th time. Right?
I love that.
25,000. I'm sure there's at least that many in all my years on earth here before.
I know. You'd think we would get better at some things, but I tell you what, it's hard work.
It is so hard. It is so hard. All right. I wouldn't be me unless I did this, and you are absolutely given grace to say no. But I'm curious about your leadership experience that was such a challenge for you, and if you'd be willing to share a little bit about that with the audience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It was actually a situation where a staff member who had responsibility for legislative action left, and in the course of this transition, we missed the deadline for it was actually the tax checkoff. Keep funding coming, and it cost us quite a bit of money to fall off of that. Plus, there was a difficult process to get back on, and so one board member responded to me with upset and anger, and my mentoring board member said, "Let me tell you about the worst mistake I ever made." And he went through this whole story and told me what happened, and said, you'll be okay. You're going to have another chance at this. And I know you're going to do everything that you can to make it right. And that really changed my leadership philosophy and trajectory. I mean, this guy was so good. He's CEO of a large bank here, banking regional bank. His boss asked him to order the forms and things that they needed for the bank when he first started. And he said the same order as last time. Well, they had changed their logo. They had changed everything. So they had ordered everything and knew from, stationery through invoicing through everything. So a semi truck pulled up. Filled with all of this stuff when really he was supposed to get, a new box of stationery. So he tells me this story. We laugh about it, and I learned a tremendous amount. And so, I think that's where my philosophy of making mistakes and growing and learning from that became so powerful, because I'm harder on myself than anybody else is. And so to have him say, look what I did, this accomplished, man, it was wonderful.
Yeah. I love that story, Mindy. I think that it's so important. And I have such a passion for particularly women sharing their stories and stories like this, because they're so important. Because when people recognize they're not the only ones, and when they see a leader like you or the president of MSU or some of the women that I've interviewed on this podcast share the mistakes they've made and own them, take responsibility for learning and garner that and move forward in such powerful ways. For me, I have chills. Like that is why I do what I do, because women need to know we're not alone out here in this, right? We're doing tough work. We are in the trenches doing what we do as women too, and men too. But my passion is really women's empowerment and supporting women to do what they do. And your story is powerful, because it's important that we know we're not alone. And the mistakes are part of the growth process. They're part of leadership. As you said earlier, if you're not making mistakes, you're not out there doing it, right? You're not learning. You're not growing, right? Yeah. And to have the grace of someone like you or your board president to say, wait, I ordered a truckload.
As the semis pulled up.
That was a funny story. Just saying. Oh my gosh. All right. We're going to take a quick break here on Second Chances with Christy Belz and with Mindy Watrous. We'll be right back.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the same patterns keep showing up in your life, your work, or even your relationships? That's exactly why I created Uproot. Uproot is a transformational framework that helps you uncover the unconscious patterns running your life, reconnects you with your authentic self, and intentionally creates what comes next. For years, I've taught this work in coaching, leadership programs, and workshops. And now, for the first time, Uproot is becoming an evergreen online course you can take anytime. If you're ready for a real shift, not just another inspirational idea, join the waitlist now at christybelz.com/uproot. Your next chapter starts with awareness.
Welcome back to Second Chances. Mindy, what a ball to be with you and just to have this candid, real conversation. You are really an extraordinary individual and leader, and I'm just delighted to be able to share you with the audience here. So we are going to start to wrap up here, but anything else related to Second Chances? When you think back now, you've had so many amazing adventures in your career, with your fostering, with just living the life that you fully stepped into. Like what is there anything else second chance wise that you'd want to bring to the audience to share in your wisdom?
Well, I think the second chance is really for me around passion. I graduated from college and I intended to work with children and families, and ended up in a human resources role instead, and became a recruiter of new talent, and was for that industry successful and making good money. And I thought, here I am, 21 years old, and I'm killing it, but missing, something was unfulfilling. Something was just not right in that. It wasn't my passion. And here I was, doing fairly well financially, and I walked into a job. This will tell you how old I am. For $7.50 an hour, working in a children's residential treatment center and psychiatric hospital, which was a huge pay cut, but getting the opportunity and taking that chance that's where I was meant to be, and that's the work that I wanted to do that I was passionate about, and so passionate about foster care and helping children get connected with families, and really never looked back, even though it was a huge change for me and for my situation at the time. It was an opportunity, and it really was the beginning of this career. Even though I've made lots of changes and direction and types of organizations, I love to build things. I'm not much of a maintainer, so it gave me the opportunity to really get out there, and that was a real second chance for me.
Yeah. I love that. I was doing an interview recently, and somebody asked me, what is it that keeps people stuck? Like, they have all this success externally but they're not fulfilled, right? And that happens so frequently for us as women. We find the career that pays us well, that we are successful, we get the accolades, we have all of that, right? And then there's a part of us inside that just is not fulfilled. And I love the way you explain that, right? I wasn't doing my passion. Yeah. It's my belief the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Follow your heart, right? Follow your heart. And
that's exactly right.
Right?
And don't be afraid to change if it's not working. Right?
Love that. Don't be afraid to change if it's not working. Right. I've jumped so many times in my life. People think I'm nuts. Like,
I hear you.
I'm just like, I got to go now. Like, what? What? Right. I love I'm not the only one, but I think jumping is really, there's this picture I have in my office above my desk. It says, leap like a lunatic over the chasm below. Right?
Oh, I love that.
It has this woman, like, the full balloon splits over a ravine of leap like a lunatic. Leap like a lunatic.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Yeah, so I love that. Follow your heart, follow your passion, do what lights you up, right? Yep. That's really key. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. All right, I always end with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Some fun questions. First thing that comes to your mind. What's one word that would describe your life right now?
Oh, that's hard. I want to say crazy, but that sounds like a terrible thing to say.
Crazy's fair right now. That's fair. Totally fair. Yeah. What pep talk do you give yourself in 5 words or less?
You can do it.
You can do it. I love that.
Keep trying.
Keep trying. Love that too. Let's see. Who's taught you the most about second chances in your life?
Probably my children. Because it's really hard to be a parent.
Yeah.
You can't be good all the time.
That's right. Do the best we can. I love that. Yeah, my son, I think, has taught me the most too. He's always teaching me something. All right. What's one book or that you would recommend that people read?
Oh, gosh. My memory. I can't remember the name of it. I do love Jim Collins. I have to say that. I'm a huge lover of, getting the right people in the right seat on the bus. I find that critical.
So good to great.
That's old, but good stuff.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Good to Great by Jim Collins. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, get the right people on the bus and make sure their butts are in the right seat.
Exactly. I mean, it can change everything. It's amazing.
It does, really, really. And it takes great discernment as a leader to have that figured out, for sure. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for being here. Let's tell the guests how they can learn more about you and the Tennyson Center. And certainly we are going to ask if you are in favor of supporting these young kids and Mindy and her work, please, please, please go to the Tennyson Center. And Mindy, I'm going to ask you to tell them how they can find you.
Sure. Mindy.w@tennysonCenter.org is me directly. Our website is TennysonCenter.org, and that should take you through at least a starting place. We love volunteers here. We love to bring people in for tours and see the work that we're doing. And, we have game nights where volunteers come in, people from the community, and spend time with our kids and different activities like that. So we love to have you or your company or whoever a part of what we're doing. And that's a good place to start out, is on our website. Yeah. But before I go any further, and forget this, Christy, I just want to thank you. You're such a tireless advocate for kids that have experienced trauma, and that means, it helps change the world. So thank you for all that you do.
Appreciate it. It's my honor and my privilege. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You also have a luncheon coming up this year. If we have in April, do I have that right?
April 16th.
April 16th, yes.
At the
Still Ballroom
for Performing Arts.
Yep.
And it's a great opportunity to come get introduced to Tennyson, because it is stories of success. It's real people talking about the challenges in their life and how this got better. And I think one of the greatest things about the lunch is it lasts exactly 1 hour.
Time. Mindy's a stickler for time. So Stephanie, I love that personally. Like, I try to be a stickler. We're a little bit over, so I'm going to start to wrap us up here. But yes, awesome. So if there are people listening who are passionate about this work of the Tennyson Center, and you either want to sponsor tables or be a part of that luncheon, we'll also put that information in the show notes here. So again, my deep, deep gratitude, Mindy, for being here. Thank you so much for sharing yourself and your story and the wonderful work that you're doing in the community for our children. It just touches my heart. So blessings to you and your team, and I will see you soon.
Thanks so much, Christy. Good to see you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. It is the joy of my life to showcase the voices of people and the messy details of life's journey. As you have experienced, my guests are thriving with purpose and style, but that does not mean that their life is easy and without challenges. I've dedicated my life to you and your journey. Thank you for listening to Second Chances with Christy Belz. Please subscribe and learn more at christybelz.com/second chances.